What Trump is doing at the moment is a pump and dump scheme. He's trying to drive up the oil price, tell friends beforehand that he's about to make an announcement which will cause the price to fall, and he's just oscillating this way up and down and exploiting it for his friends and for his own wealth in the process.
This must be hurting his friends economically because the stock market's going to take a dip if he's not careful. And his friends are all shareholders in different big companies. So, and also when we think about energy.
But one of Keynes's great lines was that there's no point in buying a stock which you think is going to increase in value over time if you think it's going to slump in the immediate future. He's making an announcement which causes oil markets to panic, so the price goes up. There's no way I can go to the States if I stayed this, as you know, at the moment. But I really think what he's doing is we've given him control of the most powerful country on the planet. He knows if he makes an announcement, it moves markets. He has no compunction whatsoever in exploiting that to cause rises and falls in prices and try to exploit them himself and with his friends. You know Ed Conway, I presume?
I don't know.
Ed does better empirical work, I think, than virtually anybody. And he identified that before the announcements last week, 15 minutes before the announcement, there were large purchases in each of the stocks, the commodity markets affected by this. So oil price, there's a huge oil price spike, and then the announcement comes through.
I look at his pattern of behaviour and I go, he's especially got a pattern of before the markets open, saying something very positive ahead of the week. And then in all of his press conferences, he repeatedly mentions his track record of making the S&P 500 go up in value. So I actually think that was quite predictable. If I was a betting man, I would have gone Sunday night, or Monday morning, I would have put a bet on oil prices coming down, the stock market going up.
One of the things he said most recently, he talked about getting a present from Iran. And then he finally let slip what the present was and was letting 8 ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Those 8 ships were not American, they were other allies. I think what he's thinking is that's going to mean the oil market gets calmed down. That means the price is going to fall, so I can then do another pump and dump.
We've never had people who were really psychotic. If you put all of his crazy statements and his behaviors together, watch the stock market. He had just today, which, is a Friday afternoon, was supposed to be the end of his 5-day, ultimatum against Iran. But he timed it for 1 hour past the close of the New York Stock Exchange. 1 hour. Now he's pushed it back another 10 days to close a closing bell on a Monday evening, which means that he intends to have first he intended to have a full weekend of no impact to the markets. CNN did a study of this, and it was Richard Quest showed what clearly could be seen as these decisions versus market impact, what he called small m manipulation of the market, and hundreds of billions of dollars are being made. So you could almost argue this war was timed to manipulate the market of the 2020 November election with a massive win for the United States. But this was planned with Israel by their own confession, months, right? Pete Hegseth said thousands and thousands of man hours went into the planning in Israel, with Israel, and how we were going to do this. And then they go, oh, well, we're not fighting with Israel. Really? Somebody launched 30 ballistic missiles to decapitate the government and at 12 noon on a Saturday. That's not how America fights, but that's how Israel fights, right? To blast a bunker.